Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fed Up with the Eternally Miserable One, aka me, Fed Up Gaz. How's it going today, DJ?
Good. Good, guys. I'm doing good. By God, we're doing it. We're finally doing it.
Yay, we're finally here, man. We're getting it done. Um, been looking forward to this one for a while, man.
Same.
So I know you. Actually, before we go any further, I'm so sorry, I forgot to say this. Could you please introduce yourself? You're from the band Human Missile Crisis, and
Hello, everybody. My name is DJ Vaters. I am born and raised on Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, now based out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And I play guitar and sing in the garage rock post punk Dartmouth based band Human Missile Crisis.
yay, there we go. Um, so man, just before we do the deep dive into all of the songs and the inspirations behind them, I think a good place to start is, especially as we are in Halloween month, we
Yeah.
have the black kitty cat. Um,
Yes,
as,
yes, we
as the
do.
artwork, the little collar. So I it's and I don't mean this in an awful sense at all. It's a very simple picture, but it catches your attention, especially the cat's gaze. Almost
Yep.
if the cat is mesmerizing you, and don't if you don't listen to the album, I'm gonna cast a spell on you or something. So I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wondered,
yeah.
I just wondered why you selected that picture. Is it a picture of a pet you had or a pet you have at the moment? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
so basically, I was tossing around a couple ideas of the album, and we ended up doing a actually I think I got it right here. So it's my cat. Well, it's my girlfriend's cat, and she lives with me now.
Hey,
So it's my cat. So we got I really just wanted to put our beloved, her name is Nub. She was a rescue. She's missing all her
oh,
toes on her front right paw. So
oh,
Nub, essentially.
oh,
Um, so we put her on the back of a hoodie, and at the bottom it says, wait, this is like difficult to do while holding the microphone. Hold on.
it's all good, man, all good. So there you go, folks. We can see it. There we go. Hey, I like it. I like it. Awesome. Hey, there's one. Definite, man.
So originally it was just it's a photo that I took of her cat, and yeah, she's like the sweetest, innocent little. She doesn't have any cat instincts. She doesn't know how to kill things, mice, or anything like that at all. She's an indoor cat, but it's also the contrast of it is hilarious because the gaze is so ominous
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, and really just the album definitely has some heavy emotion,
Mm,
relationships, toxic relationships,
mm,
themes around people that shouldn't be together that still keep fighting to be together when they know that they shouldn't be. And after I went through that whole period of my life, my lovely girlfriend Riley came into my life, and she brought this adorable cat too. And to me, it just kind of symbolizes a new place for me, sort of thing, right?
yeah.
Like having all these animals, in my life now. I 3 years ago, I was in this 3-bedroom flat here that you see behind me by
Yeah.
myself, living as a single guy for the last like 6 years. And now I got 2 dogs, a cat, a bunny, a hamster, uh,
Oh,
4 fish tanks, 3 frogs. Like it's just,
yeah.
life has changed. And Nub is a sweet, like just kind of, what would the word be? I guess, she's like the model of the of like she's
Yeah.
like the image of just like a better life for me sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But then again, the ominous look is kind of like I really just liked how kind of spooky she looked
Yeah.
in the picture, and for promotion purposes, who doesn't love a picture of a cute little cat showing up in their feed somewhere or something, right? So
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes just nice little simple images like that, as you said, just work. And it's and again, as you just rightly said about a cat showing up in the feed there, and animals very therapeutic for people, especially if you're in dark periods, because
oh
it's
my god, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you can be in that mindset where And I think this can be hard for people to understand who do want to help you, especially if it's close family members or close friends. But we're only talking about this actually with another guest recently. Um, there can be times though when, and I know they recommend, getting help, etc. But sometimes you do just need to be alone. You do just need
Yep.
to go through it and it can be horrendous, but to go through that, to come out at a better place, it's something sometimes you've just got to go on that journey yourself. But with that said, when you're on that journey, animals can be very therapeutic because it's I don't. Maybe it's because like if it's a pet, it's like a pet cat or a dog or whatever is your pet or companion. It's like they have this trust in you and
Yes.
have that whole unconditional love, no judgment about you whatsoever. So it's like you've still got someone around you, but um, you don't kind of have any potentiality for say frustration,
Yep.
disagreements, that person like, oh, I wish you would talk to me. Just say, well, I can't at the moment. Sometimes, I know I would want to talk to people, but I'm not in
Yeah.
that mind to do that. So, I think, even if it's someone like, walking like on a coastal area through a forest, whatever, and the birds are around them, just so I'm a believer in animals definitely helping people get back to a better place, especially if they've been through tragic circumstances, and it can be a really worthwhile companion for them.
Absolutely. And to add to that too, in another sense, if you're alone, you're depressed, you're by yourself
Yeah,
all the time, that animal also gives you purpose. That's an animal
yeah,
that you got to take care of. That's an
yeah,
animal that let's just say that, some dark thoughts are coming into your head and stuff like that. And then all
yeah,
of a sudden you think, well, if I was to off myself, what's this cat going to do? Or what's my dog going to do? And I couldn't do that to them, even though you don't care about yourself. You know what I mean? So then sometimes that animal is that deciding factor maybe in somebody's life or something that potentially could help. Like
yeah. Well,
I, I sorry, continue.
no, no, sorry, go on, man.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say I particularly haven't gone that deep into like the side of depression or whatever when I was living like
Yeah,
without my animals and stuff like that, but I could see how that could be a thing for somebody like to weigh on their conscience as well when juggling around the massive confusion decisions to make in your brain or whatever, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think as well, what would come into it is as well, who would take care of that animal? Would somebody take care of them the way I have and would want them to be cared for? You don't want that animal to go into the
Absolutely.
wrong hands, so that comes into it too. I
Yep.
I remember a few years ago. I'll just say it was a family member finding a dog in not very nice circumstances, and the
Hmm.
sad thing was, it wasn't that the person intentionally did that cruelty to the dog, and thankfully it wasn't as extreme as some cases we read about or see on
Hmm.
TV.
It was like a form of
Um,
neglect, though.
yeah, it was still a form of neglect, but the person couldn't take care of themselves at
Yep.
that time. And thankfully, I managed to get the dog into like an animal shelter just while the person got themselves better and they got the help and was well
Yeah.
looked after. And so there was a good outcome there. But I think that factors into it as well, because I mean, how you can walk in any city, large town, and there's just the amount of dogs and cats that are now strays. It's in the
Yo, yeah, yeah, man. Well, good on you for doing that and taking care of that animal too. And like I said, I got two dogs now,
yeah.
and we only have one dog for the last like 2 years. She's sitting right here, Tess. I can't really show you her, but because I can't move my camera, she's
So,
down here. She's a 13-year-old border collie, and so we had her and Nub, and our bunny's name is Bun. So Tess, Nub, and
oh,
Bun, and Riley really wants my girlfriend. She's a dog groomer, so she wanted another little dog, especially a
mm,
little cute one that she can groom and give it little funny haircuts or something. And So she was like, I really want to get another dog. And I was like, I don't really want another. Like, I love dogs, but like, I was like, man, we got a lot of animals in this place right now. Like, do we really, like, everything's chill? All our animals get along together. Like, I don't really
Yeah.
want to introduce that other one into it. And she was like, she showed me the picture of this rescue, and she was like, she's cute though, right? And I'm like, yeah, she's cute, but like, it's a little dog. It's gonna be yappy. What's it gonna be? And so I finally, like, I was very like, no, I don't want it. Being that grumpy old man that just doesn't want another dog. And but I knew that it would make her happy, and I was willing to budge on it. And we were like, okay, well, let's take it for a trial run, and we'll foster it. And if it doesn't fit, then we'll move it on and find it a good home. And we got this dog, man, and her name was Chelsea, but we didn't like that name at all, so we renamed her Ripley because it kind of rhymes with that, after Ellen Ripley from the
Yeah, yeah,
from
aliens.
Alien. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we're giant Alien fans.
Hey.
And yeah. So we renamed her Ripley, and she started answering to it. But when we got the dog was all mad at so my girlfriend, like I said, she's a groomer. So first thing we did was we take her to the groomer, and we gave her a shave down, and we noticed her skin was all red. Come to find out, she's been allergic to her food that she's been eating her whole life. Her ears were all full of yeast from the allergies. So she was neglected too. And so, because my girlfriend is such a goddamn saint, so like, she's an animal lover through and through, and she did the research and looked into it, and we got the dog's food changed, and we shaved her down, and we got some drops for her ears and all that sort of thing. And now it's like, you
Yeah.
look at that dog, man, that dog is a different dog. And at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what, like, fucking nobody's going to care for this animal like the way we do. So this dog hit the jackpot finding its way into our home, and I was just like,
Yeah.
and she's a great dog. She started to fit into our cat. Like, they hang out on the couch together and everything. Like, I have a cat and a little dog hanging out on, petting the dog with my right hand and petting the cat with my left hand, and
Yeah.
it's just like therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Therapy,
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yeah, it comes down to you when, like you said, well, no one else is going to care for, this dog or cat the same way that we have. So we want them in the best home possible. I remember there's a guy I talked to a few years ago from Australia, and he got up stupidly early to talk to me.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I
I'd
remember
imagine.
him, yeah, I remember him saying in this really broad Aussie accent, he said to me, "You have to forgive me, guys. It's like a bloody menagerie here at the moment." He had cats, dogs, parrots. They were all over the place. It was hilarious. And then in the background, you just kept seeing his wife coming in the background with like delivery service of coffee, I think,
Ah.
to wake him up. But
Yeah.
there was a point you said when you were when you mentioned that you budged on taking another dog.
Yep.
And there's a point I wanted to pick up there, and I thought this is a very good quality that you obviously have in this relationship now with Riley, and this is one that I'm going to guess that you have with the band as well, and that quality is compromise.
Yeah.
Not
Oh yeah.
enough people can do that. Sometimes you have to be the bigger person, whether it's in a personal relationship, work, or music, to say, okay, we can come to a middle ground or agree to
Mhm.
disagree when necessary. I mean, we could do a whole show on bands who haven't been able to do that, and sadly, those bands, either break up or the album doesn't quite come out the way they wanted. You'll read one and be like, oh, well, I wasn't too happy with that or this. So I thought that was something I noticed in your answer, and I thought that is a good quality. So is that something that you carry forth into the band, into Human Missile Christ as well, compromising when necessary on the creative process?
Well, yeah, okay, absolutely. To give you like a little bit of history on the band is my drummer Matt McIsaac, bassist Justin Bootler, and myself. We've been playing together in one form or another since 2003. So
Nice.
so we and so back then I was a drummer and I played drums, and we were like a technical metal punk rock band called Violent Theory. Matt
Yeah.
McIsaac, my drummer, played guitar. Justin played bass for that band, and we had another guy named Matt Prince in that band too. And that band, we were teenagers, we were kids, and we did get in those fights. We did get in those like no, like don't tell me what to fucking play on the drums or
Yeah.
those sorts of things, right? Because we were kids and
Yeah.
we had big egos and we all wanted,
Yeah.
you know, something. And we got in fights and but over the years we learned to grow and more and more so. And then that band hasn't played shows since I think 2012 was probably the last time we played a show. And then we've all remained friends though, because like we're more brothers than we are our
Yeah.
friends, man. Like we've been in each other's lives for far back as long as we can remember. Like Matt McIsaac particularly has been in my life since like Catholic school, like preschool, like back
Yeah.
when we were children, like 4 or 5 years old. And so with the band, particularly myself, I was always about collaboration. Like I want to work with other people. I want other people's feedback and other people's opinions to help sculpt what I do, because I believe that that makes us better. And so when I finally approached Matt and Justin for coming in to the full missile the human missile crisis, the project, when I to come into the band full time, one of the things was like right up front, straight up, this is going to be collaborative. Like I don't want you guys to sit back and just be like, okay, tell me what to play. I want you guys to tell me what you want to play. And if I'm playing something and you think that I could change it, then that's what we do. Like the example, I'll give you the example is the main riff for Liquor Store Stories. If you're familiar with it, it's just like that. It's just bum 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 bum. Well, when I wrote it, it was ba 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 bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. It was like kind of like it was more thrashier, more like way more in it. And Matt's like, no. He's like, cut that one out, ring that one. Yeah. And then now we're down to that. And then I was like, oh, this is way easier for me to sing over too. Sick. And then next thing you know, like then the song goes, right.
Yeah.
And or Matt helps a lot with compositions and stuff too, because I'll come in with something and I'll be like, okay, I wrote this fast punk rock song, and Matt will be like, I'm gonna play halftime drums over it instead. It's not gonna be a fast punk rock song now. It's gonna be a little more groove to it, right? And he does bring that sort of thing to it. And just and I don't even tell Justin what to play. Justin's a phenomenal bassist, and he just kind of figures it out and does his own thing. And there's not a goddamn thing that he does that I could ever tell him to do any better or any less of, because it kind of get that sort of thing when you've been working together for over 20 years too. That sort of like
second nature, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't count in fours. You're just like look at each other and then you're in, and then we kind of locked that in years ago, back when we were in our teens and early 20s, and now we just got this really good dynamic. And as of recently too, we were putting a lot into the record, and so around when we're playing live shows, we're repeating a lot of the songs and playing along the same stuff all the time. But now, since the album finally finished the last 3 weeks, we go in and we dedicate the first like 45 minutes of every jam to just like jamming out new riffs, new ideas and stuff. And we got like 4 songs ready to go now, and maybe another 2 or 3, and hopefully in the next 6 months or so we'll get something else out there.
Oh, sweet. I'll definitely come back to that point in a moment. It's an interesting growth journey, that, which again is quite a cool parallel for the album, given the themes within Liquor Store Stories, which we'll get to in a minute. I can certainly hear those mix of styles on the album as well. There's some songs that are a little rawer, I guess, definitely more punk rock leaning. And then we'll have the more kind of, as you said, kind of like a rockier vibe on some more slow ones. I mean, one of my favorites actually from when I was listening to is, I mean, everyone will obviously have a different answer, but I like the opening, Do You Remember? And I liked Blackwater as well.
Oh yeah.
Those ones are really cool. So getting a little ahead of myself and realize we'll have to come back to the actual talking about Liquor Store Stories. So you've already got those some new songs prepared then. So are you looking to maybe release a follow-up sometime next year?
Yeah, that's depending on financial situations and whether or not I can come up with the funds to get back in studio and do it the way that I want to do it. Like this album being our first, I really took my time with it, and we recorded it in June of 2022 was when we went in and did it live off the floor, and then I took the bass and the drums and some of the guitar and some of the vocals, and then I went back and did overdubs on other guitar parts and my vocals and backings and stuff. And then we just like put it through the ringers, man, with like mixes and my good buddy Braden Cameron's he mixed it like did a bang on job. He's just fresh out of like a music recording program at the Nova Scotia Community College, the business college
Nice.
here, and this was one of his first full length projects that he did, and so we just kind of took our time with it. I was like, yo, we're going to pay you this much money for it, and there's going to be no deadline. We'll go through all the different mixes of it, and that's why it ended up taking a little over a year and so to come out. But then once we got the final product, I sent it off to Brad Boatwright. It was a connection that I got from another band, and he's mastered he's Audio Siege, based in I think it's Illinois. I always get it wrong where he's from, but anyways, he did the remaster of Sleep's Dope Smoker. He did the new or the he mastered the, if you ever heard of the band The Armed, he did the Armed record Ultra Pop, a bunch of like Mono Lord, and he's known for doing a bunch of heavier stuff, and I just was like, well, if I send it to him, he seems like he knows what's going on. So when he come back, and yeah, we're pretty happy with how it turned out, and pretty stoked to just let the dust settle too. And then next year, I think I'm hoping by March or April, if we have another 2 or 3 songs ready to go, I'll start looking at picking some studio time somewhere.
Yeah, and what's interesting as well with the audio quality on Liquor Store Stories, and I think for any band that's got that bit of a raw feel, punk rock leaning, or even just some raw rock and roll, it's kind of that challenge of then is we don't want to sound completely too polished.
Yeah, I don't want the polish.
Yeah, but we don't want to sound kind of, I don't know, this works for some genres with lo-fi black metal, for example, but we don't want to sound like barely inaudible where we're unlistenable for the particular sound that we do. And that's what I heard with Liquor Store Stories is, like I said, there's some songs that are definitely faster, got more of that raw punk vibe, and then others a bit more on the rock kind of side, and be a bit slower, but it's preserve the energy and the feeling. And this is a perfect segue for me to go into deep dive and lyrical themes, etc., because I feel that's helped. I'm choking now, probably because I talk so much.
I have the same problem.
Yeah. I feel that's helped preserve the emotional expression as well of the album, because these are all very very personal and deep topics that are obviously very, very raw as well. And it's got that partnership with the music. So is this something that, I'm new to the band, so forgive me, I don't know too much about the past material. But is this something that's always inspired you for songwriting to take life experiences, I guess personal journeys, and put that into music?
Yes, I mostly always wrote music coming from like a personal standpoint, my own relationship experiences and life, and just anything that goes on in my life, really. The band name Human Missile Crisis itself actually came at a time when I also produce I don't do it so much anymore, but I used to produce a lot of electronic music. Big fan of like the Chemical Brothers and stuff like that.
Nice, yeah.
And so I do a lot of that, or used to anyways, do a lot of that. So back years and years and years ago, I used to name my electronic music tracks just random things because what do you name an instrumental electronic track? You just pick something random. And
Yeah.
I name one of the songs The Human Missile Crisis because at the time it's when Barack Obama was in administration, and it was all coming out in the news that he dropped more bombs using drone strikes
Yeah.
on everybody than any other president at the time in the history of the United States.
Yeah.
So I named this electronic song back then The Human Missile Crisis, and at the time it was political, and I kind of had it in my head someday to use it as a band name with some stuff that I was working on. And myself, I was thinking at the time I wanted to write fast punk rock, politically charged, like commentary on like the war and whatever war was going on at that time, and just that sort of stuff. And then I realized that that's not what was coming out of me. I wrote one political song that might make it onto the next record. It's a song called Silent Sky, and it's it's written from the perspective of an autonomous drone. So it's interesting lyrics. It's kind of just like almost like the drone is singing about silently stalking the sky, right?
Yeah, looking for its targets.
And so that's the one song that really falls into the political human missile crisis category, and then everything else falls into the human side of human missile crisis. And that's when I realized there was the dynamic where I didn't have to limit myself to writing political. And then once I took myself out of that, and all the other songs just started coming down the pipeline, and it was just easier to write them, because sadly as it is it's easier to write music when you're in an unhappy place, in my opinion. I find it anyways, and or at least channeling that negative energy into music there was a lot of negative energy, so there was a lot of music flowing out of me at that time, right? And then when I opened myself up to allowing myself to open up and start speaking openly about this stuff through my lyrics, then that's when all the songs started pouring out, and we got quite a few now. So like I said, we got almost a full length ready to go again. So
yeah, and I've said this on so many shows, and I'll probably continue to do so, but when it's come from that real lived experience or from seeing, say, it can be people you know around you, it kind of just adds that bit of grain and authenticity. And it's obviously not healthy if you're not in a happy place, but it's healthy that you can get that negative energy out rather than it just all be trapped inside and then it just boils over. And writing, music, anything creative like that is one of the best forms of unofficial therapy, in a way, of releasing kind of that those negative emotions and energy, everything that's inside us. And I often think as well that for even more on the extreme side with genres, cool, you mentioned you used to do electronic music. I've actually been listening to dark techno and dark synth a lot recently.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was cool to hear. But I think sometimes, if we look at the extreme ends of metal and even some of the angrier, faster punk, hardcore and grindcore, they do this. I think, well, using that as a basis for that music can give that aggression what goes with it. It doesn't always have to be, all about, right, we're trapped in hell, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there's a demon coming for us. It's going to force me to watch golf with him for 24 hours or something. That would be, that's one of my personal nightmares, but enough of that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sounds terrifying.
Being forced to watch golf truly is terrifying, but just probably upset a whole portion of golf fans now.
Actually, when we the little cut into that, when we played a show last night, and and midway through the set, when I was tuning my guitar, Justin, the bassist, he goes to the audience, he goes, "Can everybody just get a slow golf clap for Matt on the drums here?" And we got the whole audience, and it was like, clap, 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 clap. And we were like, that was perfect. And then Matt was like, okay, and now I just missed the putt. So can we all get the groan too? And then the whole audience went, oh, and it was fucking bang on. It was so funny.
It
Yeah.
is. It's also whenever you see golf tournaments or anything, and they're all in like the super posh V-neck jumpers, and they're all at the side, and you've seen they're like kind of running slow motion alongside. They're all
Yeah.
watching you say, then the groan happens, or if they get the put, there's the.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
commentators always sound like they're on the verge of lapsing into a coma as well. And then if they get that shot, all of a sudden, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're on. We're rolling again. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But that was hilarious at the show last night.
Oh, dude, I'd have been on the floor absolutely rolling
Yeah.
at that as well. And then
And
I'd
we're
probably go on, man.
Oh yeah, I said we're really like I said, we sing some pretty serious songs, but like
Yeah.
when you see us live,
Yeah.
man, we're just making the audience laugh in between the
But,
songs, and we're like we get up on stage, man, we are not serious at all.
well,
Like as far as who we are as people, we love to laugh, we love to carry on stage, we
oh,
make
dude.
fun of each other and everything. So I'm not the guy that's getting up there and like, oh, sing all these fucking
Yeah.
depressing songs and everybody be depressed and fucking fuck, you know, like I don't do that. It's like I can't like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I want these songs to help people,
Yeah.
and when people come and see us live, man, we make them laugh too. Like
Oh, oh man, I'm totally the same. Like, that's why I always try and inject a bit of off-topic nerd and a bit of eccentric humor in the shows. Even I get sometimes it might be a very serious issue, so there's obviously time and a place and waiting for the right moment, etc. But yeah, having a giggle, man, oh man, the best thing, and that's the most memorable if you've watched anybody live when they can have that interaction with you and have that bit of a giggle instead of it just being either two examples. As you said, super serious and boring, like non-stop, and you come out feeling even worse. Or the other one where they can be really good, play their instruments really good live, etc. But there's no emotion, there's nothing there. It's literally like watching cyborgs on stage with no outpouring, and you come away and you think, okay, yeah, they were good, but I still kind of feel a bit cheated because it was literally play this song, next song, next song. Right, we're done. There's our set. See you later.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like
the key is to just be mediocre at your instrument, like I am, and make them laugh, and make them laugh, and they're like, yeah, you know what, that was all right. That was all right. Yeah.
So
Like
they don't notice.
last night we got to the bridge and liquor store stories. We closed with it, and I love playing that bridge. It's one of my favorite parts to play. And I hit the bridge, and my hand went somewhere else completely, and I was just like, wait, what the fuck's going on? And I totally just skipped the whole first half of the bridge and then kicked back into it. And it's like, but it's all just fun, right? Like we don't get too down on each other or anything like that either if we mess something up or something goes wrong or whatever. And we just love being able to get out and still keep doing it after 20 years and
exactly
playing, man.
It's
very
enjoying.
Very grateful, very thankful to be able to play music with my best friends, and just able to, now we're meeting all these new people too. Like at each show that we play now, there's just people that I've never even seen before. This couple came up to me last night and they were like, yo, like we saw you guys like last year and we never got a chance to come, and we saw you guys were playing again, and they bought a couple of tapes from us and stuff. And I just love that, like, people are coming back and it's real. The music seems to be resonating with people quite well, so I'm happy for that.
I think, and I think it's not only the humor, which obviously makes people enjoy it and feel comfortable. I think it's because it does have those real emotions. There's relatable experiences there that if someone hasn't been through them, they will know someone who has or is currently going through that. So that's probably one of the strongest selling aspects of the music as well, outside of the music for that reason. And like you were saying, not everything, even in anything punk rock leaning, always has to be political. You can still make even good, fast punk rock songs about whatever. You could even make an angry one about why golf sucks. It doesn't matter. While we're on this kind of light-hearted part, I'll come to some of the more serious aspects.
Sure.
Within the songs in a moment. But what I liked as well when I was reading about human missile crisis, and we were talking a little bit about this before we went live. And I like this, that you don't want to have like any boundaries with your music or any preconceived, or you have to just stay in this avenue, this, like, you can only play this and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I like that. And you were also mentioning it to me that when you book shows as well, you like to mix bands from different genres as well, mix it up. And I thought that is cool, because I think one of the frustrating things we can come across in music, especially in the kind of the DIY communities and underground sections, I'm not saying everybody's like this, because they're not, but we still can come across those kind of gatekeeping attitudes where we can't welcome in this band because they don't quite fit the mold, or we don't know where to put them in this genre. And
Yeah.
I'm going to, this has come up quite a lot on shows, and I'm going to kind of put the other side to this argument across as well. So there's a disclaimer already, folks. I get it if you're wanting to preserve the sound of a genre, to be faithful to that sound, and if it steps completely too far away from the essence of that sound, then yes, it wouldn't be sludge, for example.
Mm-hmm.
um, I get it in that point. But if it's still got that core essence and it's mixing in a bit of something else and it's just a different take, well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's coming up with something a bit more unique or pushing the boundaries further. So, end of my another long-winded rant. Um, is this something that, in your experience as a musician, you thought, man, I want to now just start making music, that we enjoy, put no boundaries on it. If we come up with a more of a raw punk rock song, we'll play that. If it's something else, we'll play this. And when I'm booking shows as well, it doesn't matter. I want to mix all this different music, so hopefully we can reach a big audience and people can come along and maybe experience something a little bit different. I just wondered if any of this kind of thought process went into uh, your kind of reason for um, putting no boundaries on your music and mixing the different genres as well when you
Yeah.
book shows. Very
Yeah. So
long-winded. Sorry about that.
no, that's fine. That's fine. I also go on tangents and talk for 45 minutes at a time. So as my girlfriend loves to roll her eyes at me when I do that, especially if I've been drinking.
Yeah,
So
we did a show before we even went live, more or less, didn't we?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we talked for like half an hour. Yeah. So but yeah, a lot of it for me with the music specifically was like um coming with Matt and Justin. They're
Yeah.
both also songwriters, and they play in their own garage rock bass and drum duo band called Elk Lodge.
Oh,
And
nice, nice, nice.
and they're fantastic. They're one of my favorite bands. Like
Oh, sweet.
not even joking. They're one of my favorite bands. And so they're songwriters, and I'm a songwriter, and what's better than one songwriter is three fucking songwriters. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean. So with that collaborative effort, like Matt doesn't listen to as much heavy music as that me and Justin listen to, and Justin listens to a lot of hip hop and a lot of like Slayer at one point was his like growing up through high school was his favorite band, right? Um, and we're not going to write a hip hop song, I'll tell you that right now. But you never know. Maybe there'll be a hip hop beat or something like that,
Yeah,
or
why not?
something in one of our things. And like I produce electronic music, and I already toy with the idea of like bringing out a little MPC or something and having a tune that has an electro beat to it,
Why
and
not?
make it
Why
a
not?
little more chill. Give a dynamic to the set. We'll go like punk rock and then into an electro flow, and then
Yeah.
into some like indie rock or garage rock or whatever. Another big thing for me was growing up on Cape Breton Island. We grew up playing in a scene in a town called Sydney, Nova Scotia. And when you're in such a small town, you don't really have another choice except but to play with whatever other bands are available to you. So we
Yeah.
were used to growing up in a small town, playing with a hip hop act, playing with a metal act, playing with a DJ, playing with a punk rock band, like that sort of thing, or just a straight up rock band. And that was just the norm for us. And then my fam, when we got to Halifax, It was a little bit harder to sort of break into the scene and kind of find where we fit, because there's a lot of like metal shows, and metal kids play with the metal kids, and hardcore shows,
Yeah.
hardcore kids play with the hardcore kids, indie rock kids play with the indie rock kids. But the one thing is, like, you kind of speak about it in the sense of gatekeeping, but I don't think that they're necessarily trying to do that, or maybe some of
Mm.
them are, and I hope that they're not. But it's a form of selfishness, in my opinion, is to say, like, I only like this type of music, so my band's only going to play with this type of music. But who's to say that your fans only want to hear that type of music? Like, you're speaking for your fans, when, like, really, like, you should be giving other bands opportunities, and giving especially newer bands and upcoming bands, and help them break in, and that sort of thing. And that's what I like to do. So, like, one of my last shows that I booked, I did a band opened, and they were called Hush Metal, and they were kind of like stonery, a little thrash, a little stoner. And then who played? And then I think, oh, actually, we had a band from Toronto get a hold of me right before the show, because they had a show that dropped off. So it was a 4-band bill, and then all of a sudden I was like, okay, well, we'll get you guys to open a quick set and have them open the show. So they're like straight up pop punk, like Blink 182 esque sort of style
Yeah.
pop punk. So it was like a pop punk band from Toronto. Then it was like a local stoner thrash, and then it was like a straight up old school thrash metal band,
Nice.
and then hardcore band, based. So old school thrash metal band was called Novichok, and then hardcore punk rock band from Prince Edward Island called Bait It, good buddies of mine. And then we closed the show, and we were like, not the heaviest band on the bill, but we closed the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't really always like playing after super heavy bands, because, like, especially if they're like shredders and stuff, and I get up there and I'm like, I'm going to play rhythm guitar, but like, I don't mind it either. But if I had the choice, I wouldn't. But I would have
Yeah.
probably had Novichok close that show, because they just rip, man. They're so good. But like, that's just kind of like, I want to expose people to everything, kind of thing, right? And I think that, if you have a band with all indie rock music, maybe it's all just going to start sounding the same. I mean, some of it doesn't, but it might just all start sounding the same. And then really, like, what's the point? Like, expose
Yeah.
yourself, get to
Yeah.
bring new sounds into your life, and enrich yourself with
Yeah.
that. And I try to do that as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying, and that's what I was saying. I get it when I don't think it's gatekeeping if it's the wanting to preserve the sound of a particular genre. Like for me, for example, if someone, look, I was mentioning off earlier, I'm a huge hardcore fan, but I love grindcore. So if it was changing the kind of essence of grindcore, where it was becoming so different that that's not really the sound of it, then I get it in that sense, because then it's not saying it's bad music, but then it is something different. I've
Mm-hmm.
no problem with the different kind of interpretation or adding something a little different onto that genre. But when it's and I think it's the right. There's nothing wrong with a full-on brutal death show, full-on hardcore show, full-on indie rock show, whatever. But there's also, as you rightly said, there's also nothing wrong with playing mixed shows as well. So right, yeah, you could be like, right, this month or this week, we're going to do full-on hardcore show, say, all hardcore bands get out there and everything. And then, hey, we're going to appear at another show where that one's going to be mixed, see if we can reach some new cats, bring some new fans into that music. And I
Yep.
think you made a good point as well as musicians. There's, and somewhat, I think it was the Medea Project who made this point. Yeah, it was. So there's nothing wrong with bringing in different elements or making even kind of some different music on a future release. It kind of stops you stagnating, stops it being so boring. Again, if it gets so far away from the essence of that band, if you can still hear a little bit of them, you kind of know, yeah, that's the singer from so-and-so. I can hear that particular guitar style. But it's a bit of it's a different genre, say they're playing. It's still that band. Or if it becomes kind of where it's unidentifiable, then yeah, I get it in that sense, is what I'm trying to say. Then yeah, it is different. And I think one of the positives that I'm hearing from talking to people such as yourself, since post-COVID, it seems that people are wanting to hear live music again.
Oh, big time.
yeah, even genres that may not have given a chance before. This is why I think we're seeing some more mixed shows now, because if you think back in COVID, there was everything was shut down. It was nothing. I know some bands were doing like the YouTube shows, so I think it's made people realize, look, especially in more niche genres and smaller independent music scenes where it really did hit them so hard. I'm like,
Oh
this
yeah.
goes, we haven't got it.
Yeah.
Um,
We were pretty lucky that we were able to get back rehearsing fairly
mm,
quickly after COVID kind of went down. We did do one of those live stream shows. We did one of them.
yeah,
And then for a brief period in 2020, we played a couple of shows that were like when they made everybody sit down, and you weren't allowed to leave your table. They had to deliver drinks to your table, and we played on stage, and everybody had to be masked in the bar, and those ones were interesting because they all sold out. So you could say, "Hey, we sold out this venue," even though the capacity is like cut in half, so it's only like 60-person capacity or something,
yeah,
or the limit was like 40 people to a room or something. So we're like, yeah, we sold out. It was 40
yeah,
people, but I couldn't imagine what it would be like to be in like some of those other like small towns and stuff too that were just like completely shut down, and
yeah,
you couldn't do anything, right? So we were pretty fortunate, and I have my own rehearsal space outside of the city here that we were able to go to, and I was able to keep it clean,
yeah.
and it was big enough that we were able to stay apart from each other, and we kind of made that work with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I remember a man getting an email one day from one of the reps from an Australian label PR company that had sent me stuff for so long, man. And COVID closed them down after 15 years in
Oh,
operation. And I
jeez.
was like, man, and they repped everything. I mean, literally any kind of music from reggae to rock, death metal, everything was on there.
Hmm.
Because a lot of the cats tell me down there, like you were saying where you play, a lot of them have always mixed together because sometimes there's been like small pockets of each scene, so there's not really been enough to say, right, we're just going to keep this one genre. So a lot of people have been mixing together. I think outside of like the bigger cities such as Sydney, um, and that was a really a sad email to read because they were good cats as well. And I was like,
Yeah,
man,
a lot of places took hits during that, man. We
yeah,
lost good venues in the city too,
yeah,
and now we only have like one really like good punk rock venue, which is Gus's
yeah,
Pub, and like there's one other venue now that's down the street from my place, and those are the only two venues in the city now that are not pay to play,
yeah, yeah,
and you book it, and you can do your own sound, and the bar takes the bar and the door takes the door, and those are the venues that I like playing. And now it's like, there's other venues that charge X amount for sound and X amount for whatever, but
yeah.
things have definitely changed in the scene, but the people are coming out more now too, so it's kind of, there's good and bad to it all, but I'm just fucking happy to be back and playing, really.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's something we're all super appreciative of. I think it's really made us just how important music is. So again, this is another perfect segue into first of a three-part loaded question here. Not like I'm in the
Okay.
habit of asking them,
Fair.
um, but I read that the title track, "Liquor Store Stories," Um, you mentioned in the press release that arguably this was the most important song to you. It was one of the first that you wrote, and it tells the story of a toxic relationship blah, blah, blah. My speech is plagued by substance abuse. Yes, I'm. Some people be thinking, has he had whiskey before? Anyway, I haven't actually, folks. But
No, I'm
so
drinking beer.
it said more, mostly. Then it goes on to say mostly alcohol abuse finally breaks down, but both parties refuse to let go, even though they both knew it was the best thing for them both.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you say musically, this song is very powerful, rhythmically, and has a bridge that's honestly just fun to play. So there's a lot to unpack there. It's coming from a very deep, personal, and dark place as well. But
Hmm.
on top of that, it still kind of has that fun edge to play, so it's almost as if like you're turning that darkness into a positive. So um I just I'm just curious, how did you get into that mindset to write a song that was obviously very personable. I mean, personal. Ugh,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
speech today. And was that difficult to do, because that must have brought up those memories, or as we were saying earlier, was it
Uh,
actually therapeutic? It helped get it out your system.
Sometimes I think it was difficult,
Yeah,
but I knew that it was going to be, so that made it not as difficult, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
Like there was just some point where, like, where the line is in the song where it's like we both know just how far this is going to go, and what that is nowhere. That's where it's going to go. If you keep going down this road, you're just always going to end up at the same spot, kind of thing, and it's just not a good place, and we both know that it's not a good place, so we both know that this has got to end. And that's basically kind of what, when I was writing it, that's what my thought process was on that entire situation that I was going through at the time in my life. So basically, I was already at a point by the time that song was written where I was like, I'm literally writing a song saying that, like, we both know that this has got to stop. So I'm kind of like ready to move on with it. I'm kind of done with it.
yeah,
And then it just got to the point where, because the song is fun to play, and because it's just like, when those chords start ringing, when the bass and drums and guitar all kick in together too, and I'm playing it with my best friends, that really helped me really get the song out there. Because I did think at one point, I was like, man, like, some of this stuff, like, am I gonna be able to play this live? Like,
yeah, yeah, I bet.
is this just going to be traumatic for me, kind of? And now
Yeah,
it's been so long in the past that it's like, I don't, like, I was thinking about it because we're being interviewed about it right now, and I'm
yeah,
talking about it in a different respect. But when I'm playing it live now, it's not really like those old feelings and all the old negative fucking shit that went on in that past relationship is not, it's like all so far in the past that it's, it's old news kind of thing, right?
yeah.
But
Now it's yeah,
the song still rocks. I love
yeah.
playing it. I messed the bridge up big time last night, which I totally dropped the ball on the bridge last night, and it's
Like
just
a
like,
Star Story.
yeah. Yeah, and but yeah, it was just like, writing it was definitely to getting to a point where it was sort of tough, and it went through some different iterations. But the biggest thing that really kind of helped me bring it forward and be able to play it was Matt and Justin being my best friends and being supportive,
Mm,
and like, something about just like having them there with me, and just how well everything clicked together and how tight we were getting it. Like I wasn't thinking about like, oh, these past times. I was thinking about like, man, we're fucking nailing this right now,
yeah.
kind of thing, right? So that was kind of what was going through my head for that one a little bit. Yeah.
So the song, in essence, has become now just, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but a performance piece now that you play live, that you're accustomed to performing and playing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the other thought that has just popped into my mind from your answer there as well is, we were mentioning earlier, sometimes you've just got to be alone, and the animals can really help us in those dark times. But on the flip side, I'm getting the sense with your close bond with your bandmates there, that they were there if you needed them. They were there, and there was
Oh,
that
yeah.
yeah, and there's that comfort that, look, they are there if I need them. And this then leads into another question, where I was reading further about liquor store stories, and it says it's whirlwind journey through life, love, frustration, jealousy, substance abuse, suicidal thoughts, making mistakes, learning from them, and moving on while dealing with and existing in an anxiety-fueled world. So again, a lot of powerful concepts there from obviously real experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And this is going to be another loaded question.
Fair.
I should start putting a disclaimer out that on every show. Warning: I ask loaded questions all the
A
time.
splash screen and a sound effect that
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
loaded question.
yeah. Just when you think the first part of that question over, here come another 5
Yeah.
parts.
Loaded question.
Yeah, get a video clip of the golf class. Yeah, yeah. I have to work on that, man. Where was it going? La, la, la.
I don't know.
On
You're
the
the
road to
interviewer.
nowhere. Yeah, no, yeah. Just at the yeah. So it will come back. Yeah. So yeah, loaded question. So part one and part two. Part one, personal one is how would you advise somebody to move forward who is currently experiencing a lot of those issues? Is it a case of just taking it each day at a time and then just keep moving forward and then hopefully you come out of that?
Mm-hmm. For that, I would say the biggest thing for me was my circle of friends, and
Yeah,
not everybody's got, you know, a great, trustworthy, close knit. I'm very fortunate to have some very great people in my life, and you hear about, in other circles, friends, there's like, there's that couple that's like, oh, they're drama and they're fighting and blah 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 blah, and then people gossip about it or stuff like that. And
yeah,
at one point in time, that was like me, and that was my like, I was the problematic couple that was like, we would go out and, oh, who knows, maybe she had too much to drink and she didn't like something that somebody said, and then she's going to dump a beer on her best friend's head, and then, like, so, like, those were things that were happening in my life. And coming when everything finally started like breaking down, and it was like time to move on, I really just had a good group of friends that were like, man, like, you're, not praise myself or anything like that, but they're like, you're a
no,
good person, and you are like way too forgiving for a lot of the stuff that's been going on in your life. And even though I knew that I was it's like, almost, it's good to be a forgiving person, but it's also kind of a downfall too, man, because if you're a forgiving person and that person wrongs you, once,
takes
twice,
advantage.
10 times, then it turns into a point where you're just getting taken advantage of. And then all
Yeah,
of a sudden, and that's what it would be. It was like, I would need this other person, and I would reach out to them, and they wouldn't want anything to do with me anymore. And then the next time they needed something and nobody else was there for them, they would reach back out to me, and I would be right there for them, and I would go right back to them. And that's and then it turned into this cycle of just rinse and repeat, and then throughout, like, just stupid jealousy and like drinking too heavily and that sort of thing. It really just was a whole culmination of just like, it was just two people that weren't right for each other. And it's hard to admit that you're not right for each other, and it's really up to yourself to finally make that deciding factor that
yeah,
you got to move on, and you got to be, the only way that you're going to better yourself is to move on. Do you want to just keep,
yeah,
like, do you want to just keep reliving this misery? And it's almost like, I would, what kind of started to help me out was like, so back then I was drinking a lot heavier than I do now. I'm having a couple beers right now because I'm celebrating interviewing with you. And
yay! I'll
and
take whatever I
but
can get.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, I've been looking forward to this for a
yeah, me
while.
too, man.
And but like, so so back then, I kind of looked at it like, I started telling myself like, this is like an addiction. This is
Yeah,
like, and it's not the booze, and it's not like the cigarettes or anything like
yeah,
that. It's this relationship is the addiction, and it's fucking killing me.
yeah,
And when I start like, why do I still claim in my own right to be in love with this person who ultimately, us together, we just make each other miserable all the
yeah,
time? So, and it was like, because we were afraid of moving outside of it, and the comfort was there and the safety net was there, but the weird thing about it is the comfort and the safety was misery.
yeah,
And that's all we knew, and we were young, and we didn't really know how to move on. And ultimately, it just kind of like, after a while, it was like, finally, it's just like, just got to move on, man. And hopefully you have the right friends around you to help you through it, or whatever, the right music or the right creative outlet, whatever it may be, grab onto something and just put everything that you can into that and do whatever you can to take your mind off it, and don't try and drown it with a bottle, which is what I was doing for a really long time. And that was my thing, was like, it was never to a point where it would affect my like work life, my professional life or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like, man, there were some times like where I've never ever blacked out drunk before, which is just a weird biological thing for me. But like, man, I was pretty heavy into a lot of liquor, I guess you
Yeah.
could say. And I just like, I don't get like so drunk that I'm like slurring or
Yeah.
falling all over the place or anything like that. I just kind of like, if you're talking to me, like people have told me, they're like, I didn't even know you were drunk. Like, I'm talking to you the way I'd be talking to somebody right now if I had like 10 beer in me or something like that.
Yeah.
And the only thing is I'm a Cape Bretoner, so I probably start cursing a lot more and start using the word fucking as like compound words and descriptive words kind of thing. But yeah, I just kind of told myself, man, like, it's too much and it's time to move on, and I just can't keep being in this place. And I really, as far as advice as to how to pull yourself out of that, I think really it's kind of hard to give advice on that, because
Depends on each person.
everybody needs to find their own way,
Yeah.
and not everybody has the same safety net that I had, the same
Yeah.
same creative outlet that I have, or the same, like, family or anything like that. And like, not everybody's in that sort of supportive position. But um if anybody's got any problems with it, hit me up, humanmissilcrisisband@gmail.com, and I can talk to anybody about anything like that sort of stuff. And I've had people like come to me with like listening to the music and say, like, like, a lot of what you're writing is resonating with me, and that's why I put it out there, because it helped me to write it. And why I want to put it out there is because I want it. I don't care if we get 10,000 plays, whatever, as long as it gets to the right ears. And if that one song, somebody hears it and goes, oh, somebody else this is like speaking to me, and it sounds like this dude went through kind of what I'm going through, that's what I wanted to do.
Well,
Yeah, sorry.
no, go on.
Yeah, and then, so kind of to touch on what you were saying too about like liquor store stories and playing it live. So before, like, I kind of thought, yeah, that it would be hard for me to play it live. Blackwater sometimes is still hard to play live depending on what's going on. But what liquor store stories for me now is like, I'm not playing it live anymore for myself. I'm playing it for the audience, and I'm playing it hopefully that there's somebody in that audience that I don't know, who knows what they're going through, and if that song helps them, then fucking I did something right, I think.
Yeah. Very, very real talk answer there. You answered part 2 of my trilogy loaded question in that section. I was about to say,
talking too much.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Oh no, it's all good. People will be glad, thinking, nice, someone's shutting him up for once. so no, man, all good. Yeah, you mentioned having a right music around you as well, and you were keeping going with that, because I was going to ask how did you get through that time with your music as well? Did you find you were still able to continue making it? And obviously you went on to talk about that, so that was good to hear. So part 3 of this latest loaded question was going to be the order of the track arrangement on the album. And this may be me reading way too much into it with my nerdy imagination. I just wondered, did you arrange them in a chronological order to kind of reflect that experience, with I was feeling this, and then this was the next emotion, then I was in this frame of mind? I wondered if there was an organized pattern.
Somewhat, yeah, somewhat it is. in a sense it could be a concept album, but not entirely, because there are other songs that are on the record that are just about completely different things.
Yeah.
Like Haunted Home is nothing about anything to do with any of the relationships. Blackwater is nothing to do with any of that. It's about a friend of ours that passed away. Excuse me. Mr. Pryor is kind of the odd one out on the record, and that's kind of like that's just there's a lot to talk about with that one, but as far as like the relationship based ones and the way that they go, yeah, I would say so. It does kind of line up to the point of like anger, and then moving on, and then into just like being it's basically just like starting off with the aggression, and
Yeah.
then as the album flows
Yeah.
into things like, Distant Memory, Liquor Store
Yeah.
Stories, it's kind of like by the time you hit those ones, you kind of see that it's like it's kind of like going through the waves of emotion and
Yeah. Looking back at it.
the different stages of like
Yeah.
acceptance and that
Yeah.
sort of thing, and it does sort of follow that sort of rhythm. Some of it is intentional, and then some of it are things that other people pick up on that I didn't even realize, and that's what's great about the music too, is that if somebody else can kind of read into these things and find these other things in the music, that's doesn't mean that that like I didn't intentionally put them there, but it doesn't mean that they're not there.
Yeah.
If somebody can find that sort of thing in it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's come deep within you, and you mentioned it was in the first part of your last answer. I think it was people not moving on, sometimes seeing that it's a bad mix of chemistry. I remember once talking to a guy I knew in martial arts who was training at a place, and it was a weird one. That what he was learning, the training was good, but from what he was telling me, they were encouraging people to be more kind of bullies with it. Have the ego, like, go, I'm the tough guy, tough girl now because I've learned to fight. I can do this, that, and the other. And I remember it was really bothering him. Well, I would like to think it would do anybody, because
Yeah.
bullying is not cool in any form whatsoever. And I remember when I was talking to him, I think it was really turned up because it was somewhere he trained for a long time. I remember he was talking to a few of us around him at the time. I was one of them, asking for our opinions. And I said, if it gets to kind of the point where you feel there's going to be no positive turnaround, nothing's going to change. I obviously say, if you talk to people, we all did at the time with this friend of ours, we try to bring these concerns, and if nothing is changing, they aren't. And again, we could relate this to a workplace relationship, even in a band, with those relationship dynamics. If there's no willingness to try and change it for the better, we were saying compromise earlier, come to it, and I said to him, you don't feel comfortable there. I said, you're going to have no choice really to look for somewhere else to train, because I remember he just kept saying, but the training's good, what they're teaching us is really good, there's nothing wrong with that, yeah, I'm becoming such a better fighter, etc., etc. And I was like, yeah, no, but I said, but do you want to be associated with somewhere that thinks it's cool to bully people who aren't as technically gifted as you? I said,
Yeah.
and I'm getting that sense, no. So I think, like we were saying about people who've enjoyed your music and come to see you play, because if you look at the themes on the album and the song titles, as you said, how it can be interpreted in different ways, and it can fit a manner of situations that all can kind of have that similar root. And that was a friend of mine who was in a position where he was training and ultimately had to leave that place because he wasn't happy there, and he wasn't happy with some of the wrong kind of values they were promoting. Thankfully, that's not too much of a common thing in
Yeah, I
that
was gonna say
community.
that's actually incredibly disappointing to hear
Mm,
on part of that, whatever that school was,
mm,
because I know a lot of friends that train MMA and Brazilian
yeah,
Jiu-Jitsu and all that sort of thing, and
yeah,
most people that I know in those communities, and they are all real legit people and
yeah,
very very supportive. And
yeah,
the other thing in that sort of respect is like, you sure you're training, and sure the training's good and you're
Yeah.
learning to fight good, but your mental game, man, it's just as good. It has to be just as good as your fight game. And if you're in a place where you're dealing with people that are mentally exhausting, that's just not a good place to be.
It needs that balance. I got the sense, I think they were, even though the training was good, were a bit more money oriented because, like you, most people that I know that train in those communities, a lot of places aren't like that. It's probably one of the few places on the planet where everybody is accepted, doesn't matter what background you are. They promote respect, equality, courtesy, manners. They're great for mental support as well, especially people going through tough periods. So it, I think he just got unlucky and was just training at the wrong kind
Yeah.
of place. You get that sometimes. There'll always be the odd random dirt box that isn't a cool place.
Yeah, that's too bad though. But yeah,
Yeah,
it does happen, and in that sort of industry, my understanding is it's not as common, but so
no,
it is unfortunate. But
yeah, no, it's not. I mean, I think what's more common as well is, again, we could do a whole other show on this in itself, is what they call like the McDojos, where people are definitely trying to con money out of people, saying, after one lesson with me, you'll be able to take on the world.
oh yeah, yeah,
No, no, you can barely hold up your own pants. So
yeah,
how is that going to happen, man?
yeah.
Um,
Side story, just a quick thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
sure.
very first band I ever played guitar in was called Take on the World.
Nice, nice. There we go,
You
folks.
just
Some intentional promotion there.
when you just said "Take on the World," I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that was the
yeah,
name of our old band." Yeah, it was called.
yeah,
We were
yeah,
playing like punk rock and emo, screamo stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
funny, long ago.
Well, yeah. So, but as well, I like what you said, DJ, that you're hoping that your music can be a positive thing for people, as we said, they can relate to it, it can help them. They are welcome to reach out to you about it, and that's pretty cool and humbling. And I don't think that certainly isn't a bad uh, a bad example at all, because there still can be that stigma attached to mental health. People can say, "Oh yeah, that everyone's too much of a crybaby now. It's sensitive too easy." I get. Don't get me wrong. I see that side as well, but
Yeah.
there's so many stories of where it's a person who's been always been the strong one, always been the shoulder for other people to come to for that support, and then something can happen on experience, and then they're facing a situation that is unfamiliar to them, isn't common for them, and that can, I think, even be harder for some of those people, because it's like, well, they're used to always being the strong person, and
Yeah.
now they've been put in a situation that they're not normally, familiar or used to dealing with. Um, and I've read things where those kinds of people have even felt weak in a sense, because they thought, well, I'm not used to feeling like this. I'm strong. I'm always the one supporting everybody. What the hell is
Hmm.
happening to me? So I think anything that can be that can help anyone in any way as well. It'd be
Yeah.
through music, that's not a bad thing. If it's music that's going to help somebody get out of that, and that's going to help them, as we were saying, it's you were saying earlier, it's different for every person in that situation. Then that's a great quality for sure. Um, Getting back then to your music as well. You mentioned, you all jam together there. I thought we were getting the spirit of Halloween then coming early.
Yeah. No, it's just like I noticed
Sorry.
the sun's going down, so I noticed
Yeah,
I'm getting a bit darker in here. So yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. I don't
yeah.
know if you noticed, but this apartment is like decked out for Halloween right now, big
Yeah,
time.
yeah. See, man, looks awesome. Looks awesome,
My
man.
my girlfriend starts decorating on September 1st, and she doesn't stop until the night before our party. We have a little Halloween
Hey,
party, so
yeah. Why not, man? Everything in advance, not like last minute, like me. Like that'll do. That'll do.
oh, I'm very last minute with stuff. Very last
Yeah,
minute. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, you mentioned earlier as well. You're all songwriters. So you all have that input on the songwriting, and you've got that nice bond where you can take bits out of the music. So right, we'll use this riff. We'll change that. So um, I wondered, with you all playing together for so long, has it helped you record the music quicker, or does it still depend what you're working on, the mood you're all in at that time? You know, some things
Ye-
can be fast, there's
Yeah,
longer.
we bit off a bit more than we could chew with how we decided to record this album
Yeah,
at the start. Because we do when we rehearse and everything, we don't work with a click track. We're just
yeah,
live off the floor. Just try to be as tight as we can, that sort of thing. And most studios don't like that, and they would want you to work with a click and that sort of thing. And I kind of just didn't want the music to lose its rawness and live feel.
yeah,
That's why I didn't want to work with a click. Hindsight, we probably should have. But so when we first went into the studio, we went in 2 days in a row, 2 10-hour sessions, and we just like jammed. We just played the songs, like 10 takes of every song for like 8 hours straight after setting up the first day. And the second day, we banged out a couple more for another. We ended up recording like 10 songs.
wow,
And um and then went back in the second day and did some pickups, and then I think I spent the rest of the day working on vocals, I think is what I did. We spent half of the second day doing some more songs, and then doing vocals, but it was exhausting, and it was very grueling, and it really just wasn't as fun as we all wanted it to be. It
right,
ended up being a little bit, you're in there, you're on the clock, you paid for this, you gotta,
yeah,
put out, and now the pressure's on. We're not working with a click, and we gotta try and nail these takes, and some of them we did nail in like 1 2 takes, but then
yeah,
Blackwater was one that was like we had to stop, and I think we had to stop and take a break because it was like at the end of the day, and we played it like 9 times, and like by the end of the day, after playing for 8 hours straight, your hands are just like
yeah,
over.
yeah,
And so I think it was Blackwater that we ended up having to come back to, and we did a couple of more takes of it. There's probably like 12 takes of Blackwater. And then so that was like kind of this sort of thing where our engineer at the time, he was like, man, if you guys were working with a click, you guys had all of these in 3 takes. And you know what I mean? And we were like, oh, we want to do it this way. And so it wasn't the most efficient way, and it was pretty we weren't, it's not like we were like yelling at each other like, hey, you do
yeah,
better, fucking, but some of us were kind of like down on ourselves, like, oh man, I missed that fill, or whatever. For me, it was kind of like fine, but like nailing the bass and drums was very key during those things, because I can always just go back and overdub the guitar or whatever, right? And then yeah, but then when I went back and did do the overdub, so the guitars, man, some of those were like one take wonders and stuff, and I would still do 3 takes of them and stuff, but I would like nail it on the first, like Blackwater, because the other thing too was like we weren't using a click track. So how when I go back and do my overdubs, how am I going to start this without a click track when the song starts with a guitar, right? So I would have, when I was doing the overdubs, I'd have my buddy Braden, and he'd go, and as soon as he can go like that, and I'm in, and I'm listening to my old guitar take too, and I'm like playing it, and I was so concerned to do Blackwater. I was like, this is going to be a 50 take thing, and I nailed it on the first take.
yeah,
And yeah, I was like as soon as we did, at the end of it, Braden's holding his hands up, he's like, and I was like, yeah, I got it. And then he's like, okay, do you want to do another one? And I was like, no, but yes, let's do it. Let's do it. I don't want to do another one, but we got to anyway. So, but yeah, the first little bit of the recording project was tough, but it was the first time we did went into a real studio in a long time, and we learned a lot from it too. So I don't know. We might just make all the same mistakes again over, or maybe we'll learn from them. I don't know. We'll see what
well,
happens when it comes time to it, right?
yeah, we'll make an interesting conversation. You know, we're gonna do another episode focusing on the next release for sure. So
Yeah.
there'll be good material there either way. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wondered as well. The video that accompanies Liquor Store Stories, well,
Right.
for
Yeah.
the title track as well.
Hmm.
That's obviously taken from a show you were playing. I like the background you've got on the stage as well. You know, where you like see the trees and
Yeah.
everything. That's pretty cool, and it really does encompass that kind of raw feel that some of the songs have as well. That energy. So I'm just wondered. Um, I'm just realizing, was that actually shot in the studio, not at a live show?
No, that was at that is the legendary Gus's Pub
The one you mentioned.
In Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
and that's just what the back wallpaper looks like. It's like
Yeah,
old ass wallpaper. Some of it's torn off and everything. It's
it's
a real
plenty good.
dingy punk rock bar, and
Yeah,
it's like it's our favorite place to play.
yeah,
And yeah, and that was just like actually that video was so we filmed another video for the song Too Long last night at our show last night too, because I had these concepts to do like a more cinematic acted out style. I had this whole little story written that I was going to do with the Black Wall or the Liquor Store Stories video, and I was going to hire actors and stuff too, and I had this whole script written, but it was just like it was just too much it was too much of a project to take on. And that's not to say that I might not still do it later when I have a little bit more time and funds to put into it. But so that one was so we play with this other band. They're called Bait It, hardcore punk rock band from Prince Edward Island, another Canadian province just a little north of us. And they have in their camp a like a kind of like an official photographer that goes around with them to all their gigs. Wyatt Glant is his name. And so I ended up getting to be good buddies with him. And before that show, I was like, yo, we got the album coming out. What do you think about shooting a little bit of footage of us and just put together like a 30-second little hype reel for the album, and then I'll use that and put it out like leading up to the album. And like a week and a half later, he came back to me with the full on music video. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, this is awesome. This is not what I asked for at all. But he also gave me the hype reel too. But he like went out of his way and did this whole music video. So I was like, sick. Like, and the way he just like I didn't tell him anything about what to do. He did it all himself, that sort of thing. So once I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna work with this guy again. So that's why yesterday was so hectic, was because so Prince Edward Island is an island just off of Nova Scotia, and you can either get to it from the Federation Bridge, which is based out. You have to drive in through New Brunswick, another province, and then drive across the bridge, or there's a ferry that goes from Prince Edward Island to mainland Nova Scotia, but it's an hour and 50 minutes away from my place. So my deal was, here, I'm going to pay you for the video, and to save you on gas, you just walk on the ferry, come over to Nova Scotia. I'll drive out to the ferry and pick you up, bring you back. Yeah. You can crash at my place the day of the show. You crash at my place after the show. You film, and then I'll drive you back to the ferry tomorrow. So that's why. What I didn't calculate, he missed the first ferry by accident. He just was like a couple minutes late, so we had to wait an extra hour. And then when I hit the road, all of a sudden there's like this crazy traffic. And then I was like, what's going on? And there was an accident on the 102 highway, and there was construction. And then Google Maps Google Maps like changed my route and brought me to this other exit. And then it was like I had to go around all the traffic and come back in and around. And the exit that Google Maps brought me to was completely blocked off by the construction. I was like, what? And so then it diverted me again to another area. I drove in there, and it's a flooded bridge because we had some floods in Nova Scotia. So it diverted me to a flood zone. And then I was like, I can't drive through this. Like, what is going on? So I ended up the hour and 50-minute drive ended up turning into 3 hours to get him at the ferry. Missed the sound check, picked him up at the ferry. Then it took 2 hours to get back, and then we got to the venue, loaded all the gear in, got the show, restringed my guitar before the show, filmed it, came back here, had a bunch of beers late until 3 o'clock in the morning.
I think you'd need one after that.
Last night we sat out on my deck and had some beers, and then I had to drive him back to the ferry today, and that's why I thought, because last night I looked at the phone,
don't worry.
And I thought our interview was at 6 p.m. and then I was just getting back at 4 p.m. and you were like, oh yeah, the interview's at 4 p.m. Like, oh man, so I was just like, I drove like 600, like 800 kilometers in the last.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a ridiculous drive.
That is crazy, man. I mean, that in itself, that story could probably, we were to put a kind of humorous take on some of the issues with alcohol here. I mean, that could turn somebody. Well, there we go. The beer that could literally turn you. Yeah,
for sure.
Oh man, have you found though, dude? Whenever whenever you've got to be somewhere, whatever it is, or there's something set, and you'll have everything planned. This seems to happen to me as well. And, and people have said, you're too last minute. I'm like, no, I have everything planned. I left in plenty of time, all of that stuff. And then something seems to happen. There is roadworks, whatever it is. And you, as you said, what could be, say, a 60-minute journey, 30-minute, whatever, will turn into 3 hours or something.
Yeah.
There's always something like, it kind of been a bit of a bane between some friends of mine when we've been going to see shows, and of like, dude, we've missed the support bands. But just kind of like, dude, it's not my fault. We hit traffic, something.
Yeah. No, that was very, what is it? Chaos theory. What can go wrong will go wrong. I think that's what it is. And I literally, in order to get to him, to get to the ferry, to get back to the show in time for like the first, we missed the first band. Well, I caught the last song of the first band by the time we got back to the venue. But yeah, it was just chaos. It was complete chaos. And but it all worked out in the end. And I think we got some pretty cool footage last night. So we're going to do another, another sort of live, like it'd probably be similar to the Liquor Store Stories video with a couple other like B-roll shots in it or something like that. But it was filmed at like, not the bar that we played at last night is more of a professional stage with so we'll see how all the lighting works in the shots and stuff too. It might look pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah, that'll be for the third single from the record, which was Too Long, it's kind of more rocky one.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. Yeah, and we've had crazy things happen on this show as well. Even before its previous existence, before it became known as Fed Up. I remember, funnily enough, they were from Canada, and every time I talk about this, then I forget the name of the band, and they are on there. They were some kind of prog technical metal band. I can remember that. Now it is actually on the channel, and I think halfway through the show, the cat jumps on him.
Oh,
halfway through, we're all talking, and he's like, "Oh no," and we're all like, "Don't worry about it. I've had dogs make an appearance. I just go with it." So those kind of things happen to me as well, both during shows and in my life. It's just like normal. I'm like, yep, I'll just go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta just roll with it and laugh, man. And like Wyatt was texting me, he's like, "I'm so sorry that I missed the first ferry, man." He's like, he felt so bad and down on himself. He's like, "Oh, my fault. I'm so sorry." I was like, "None of this construction is your fault, Wyatt." Like even if you did like make the first ferry, I would still get the run around from the Google Maps, and it would have pulled me around to all these random ass locations. I had to, in order to get to him, I had to drive into another county and then drive through 2 other counties on the back roads to get around it all, and then back onto the highway. It was chaos.
Yeah, and it was weird as this is going to sound. I can somehow function in that chaos and somehow get to a place of, I guess, organization within it. I remember once, dude, I had this interview at this place, like way down south, and I got the wrong train back. So I went to totally wrong cities, and it was like going on a complete tour and having to get, another train from this station here, go to this city, all just to get back. But I'm like, those kind of things happen, and it was all just, I know I got on what I thought was the right train at the time, and it clearly wasn't, because I guess sometimes I'm on another planet. That's why I guess me, people think you had too much to drink, I turn normal. We're talking normal, quiet, and just like, yeah, it's just, how do you know he's drinking? Just, because he's like absolutely normal, talking normally and everything. Stunned by nature, I always say to people as well. So that's kind of my go-to there, I guess. With that being said, but yeah, man, it can be, sometimes it can be stressful at the time when those things happen with us, but I just try and either, if I can't laugh during it, which I still try and do, I certainly do afterwards, because it's the best way of handling it, man. There's nobody can kind of predict those outcomes, and it's literally like being in one of those crazy comedy movies where that guy's got to get to this place or that place, and there's always something preventing him from getting to that point, and I'm like, yep, I'm in that movie again.
There is always something going to happen, and
Yeah,
it's very easy to let yourself get angry or be just
yeah,
agitated and completely bothered by it. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, you're in the situation, so
yeah,
deal with it. Like, well, like why bother, getting out of gear about it or whatever when it's
yeah,
just like you kind of just got to roll with it. And like that's why I said like Wyatt was like apologizing to me and everything. And I was like, dude,
yeah,
don't worry about it.
yeah. It's the
He's like,
same.
this would not happen to anybody else
Yeah,
except for me, by the way, too.
yeah.
Just
So, yeah,
you know,
totally can relate. It was like
right.
before we started doing, you were like, dude, I can do later. And I'm like, well, I've got another guest on later. But if there wasn't, I'd have been, yeah, it's fine, whatever, man. The whole evening's there. We can start whenever. And it's funny, man. Someone said to me recently, dude, I don't know how you can go from talking to one guest and then straight into another. I went, I can talk for the world, man, quite
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
You've heard me quite easily.
Well, that's what I said. I asked Matt and Justin if they weren't able to make it, unfortunately.
Yeah, we get
Otherwise,
them back on the
they would
next one.
they would have been here. But like my thing that I said to them was, I was like, like it's no big deal if you guys can't make it because
Yeah.
we both know that I can talk enough for both of you guys.
Yeah.
So I will literally not shut the fuck up. So
I'm the same, man. I'm gonna have to do this for comedy reasons. Something that a lot of guests have been saying is one of the off-topic areas that always comes up is movies. Either I mention it or other people do, and we get then movie nerding about action, horror, sci-fi, fantasy, comedy, all of that stuff. And quite a few people have been saying, "Got to get us like a round table with." People on from these different bands, and you can all share your thoughts on movies and everything. I'm like, yeah, man. I'm all for that. I'm just at the moment I'm trying to get to that kind of point where I can get a schedule that will line up with everybody to be able to do it.
that would be really cool, actually. If you want me on that, I'd
Yeah,
love to.
definitely. Everyone seems over it. I mean, yeah, it'll probably be chaos, but a little bit in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so far, everybody seems to. Yeah, I've had that said a lot, and as we're speaking of chaos, so there was a point to this, and it's evaporated live on air, which was so
I
awesome.
think I saw it. I think I saw the steam come
Yeah,
from.
just
Yeah.
vapor out. Yeah. Oh well, whatever it was, it's gone. But yeah, I'm the same, man. I can just talk and talk and talk, man. Oh, that was it. We one of the earlier episodes. Shout out to Phil from Final Coil from over here, and he come on the show, and just like us, he can talk for the world. And I think he was saying something like, I was wondering how Gaza will be because I can talk to the world. And we were both going back and forth. And it literally got to a point where we better go now or we'll be here all night. If we didn't, we'd have probably gone on and done another 60 minutes. And the funny thing is, the friends with the Medea project from over here, they're originally from South Africa. And they were saying to me, they watched that show and they said, Phil's finally met his match because we were both non-stop. It was very similar to our show, very similar vibe.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you've got me thinking I could do something where it's like get all of us that can talk for the world
Yeah.
on the show. A few of us tag team and like I know book 6 hours out in advance.
Yeah.
Some thinks it, folks. This will be a 6-hour edition.
It probably will be minimum 4 hours is what we'll do. Yeah.
And that would be fun, man. All of us sucking.
We'll all watch Oppenheimer and just talk about it as it's happening. 3.5 hours or something. I think it is.
Extended commentary, literally fighting for to get a word in edgeways.
Yeah. Well, I like leading up into this just to kind of get a flow for your conversation and your vibe, whatever. Like I watched a bunch of your stuff too, and I kind of got that vibe that I was like, oh yeah, he talks like me. so I was like, so that's why I was looking forward to it too. I was like, let's I think it could be cool to shoot the shit with guys. For sure.
Well, thanks, man. I do it. Very natural, just literally, like I said, I felt like we're hanging out, very organic. I love to do deep dives into the music, the themes behind them, go off topic, look for relatable things as well. Really get some good conversation out there for folks rather than it just sat here like, so what inspired this song? Just not a beat. Okay, yeah, that's sick. That's sick. Next one. So, did you enjoy the album? Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep. Enjoy.
yeah,
Yep.
twas good.
The drums, yeah. I'm
Next.
like, come on, man. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, this is much better flow. Much better flow.
I'm gonna have to, as I was saying, put a disclaimer out on the site, which I have done on the blog to a point where, yeah, what, yeah, I did actually do it. I mentioned about it being very organic, very free
Yeah.
flowing, deep dives, all that stuff. Rather than just, I appreciate time can come into it sometime. If someone's only got a limited amount of time, I will behave myself unnecessary and try and
Mhm.
condense things. I get it. It's not always can be like that, but when we can, it's nice to put in a bit of that relatable personal experiences, humor, and conversation that we can all identify with, like that you've done with your music. Yes, that was a very smart way to turn it around to come back in to plug it
There we
there.
go. There we go.
But that's what it's about, man, for sure. With that said, sadly,
We
I
got to shut her
better
down.
wrap this up, yeah, because the next guys are due on very, very soon. Or literally, I would have stayed here talking to you for another 60 minutes, probably
Yeah,
very
man. Yeah.
easily. Probably get you
We
in trouble with your girlfriend. And
Yeah, no, she you might have saw her pop in for a second. She came home and she just grabbed one of the other dogs and she went back to work to give our dog a little groom.
uh,
So she'll be back in
yeah.
like an hour or so. But no, it was great. It's great, guys. I really appreciate you doing this with me, and it was great to get to chat with you. This is
Oh, definitely,
it's
man.
a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, we've been talking a lot in emails. It's kind of like being an extension of that, of a lot
Hmm.
of our email conversations, and I've been looking forward to this as well. It's been very laid back, super chill, dude, and an interesting to hear what you put into your music as well, and hopefully other people will be interested in that. I always like to give guests the opportunity to shout out anything they want before I hit end stream. So is there anybody or anything you would like to shout out before I wrap things up?
Uh, just band's called Human Missile Crisis. You can get us on the old Instagram, Human Missile Crisis, Facebook, Human Missile Crisis. Check us out wherever you listen to music, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Bandcamp. We got a lyric video for Blackwater that is going to drop on Wednesday, October 11th. It's going to
Nice.
premiere on punknews.org. So keep an eye out for that. And probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be dropping a full music video for Too Long. So, yeah, I'm not sure where that's going to premiere, if anywhere, but we'll be putting it out one way or another. And yeah, just hope the music helps somebody
Yeah.
else by listening to it as much as it helped
Yeah.
me by writing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty well it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, folks, I do want to thank you for watching the episode. It's greatly appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, then you can stay up on all the guests that are going to be featured. I regularly post upcoming shows on the channel, so just look on the playlist section and on the front tab as well. It's all there for you. Any bands you want to come on and chat to me, again, reach out. We'll put all the links for Human Missile Crisis in the description as well. That will be there. I shall be back in about 30 minutes with the charmingly named Necrotic Gore Beast.
Oh, right. I'm gonna watch that one. I'm gonna
That's
watch
gonna
that live. I
that's
am
gonna
gonna
be an
watch that
interesting
live.
one.
Yes.
But again, thanks for coming on, man. Get at me anytime you want to come on to chat about your music, especially when the next release drops as well.
I definitely will
You're
do
well,
that.
yeah, you're welcome anytime, man. Have a good one, folks. We're going to do the uncomfortable pause moment when I hit end stream, when we wait for that little charming delay. So in 3, 2, 1, we're going to do that. And here we go.